Hello, teachers. How are you? Good afternoon. Welcome, everybody. I'm so happy and excited to see all of you here in this transmission. Welcome, Ecuadorian and maybe Peruvian teachers, because I invite you in the Peruvian English Teachers ESL fan page, Facebook. So tonight we have the privilege and honor to present Master Hamilton Quezada, who is a professor in Yachay University. Okay, so his contribution and his reasons, his presentations are very important to our EFL community. So that's the reason him to provide and all the things we need to know from all this his research. So Hamilton, welcome.
Thank you, Andrés. Good evening, everyone. I'm happy to be here tonight. I see some familiar faces, people who I haven't seen in a long time. See Angelica, yeah, I see names. I don't see all the cameras are on, but I'm happy to be here tonight. And I can't wait to share with you what I prepared for you guys tonight.
Thank you, Hamilton. And I said before, privilege that you are here. Um, the experience you got from your years of studying in the Yachay University with this important topic. So the community is expected to hear from you. So we can start now.
Yeah, can I start sharing my screen?
I think so. I think so. You can start.
Okay. Done a second. All right. Again, good evening, everyone. For the people who don't know me, my name is Hamilton in Spanish, but my friends in English, they say Hamilton. And I'm happy to be here tonight to share with you, some insights of a very interesting topic I found a few years ago, which I have implemented in my classes. And I found that it has mostly positive outcomes. And this is why I saw potential. And this is why I want to share this with you tonight. Okay. I understand that, Andres, my presentation will last about 25, maximum 30 minutes, and then we will have possible questions by the audience, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, good. Just a little bit by myself is that I'm originally from Machala, but I haven't lived there in a while. I live here in Ibarra now, so I work now at the University of Yachay, and it's been a phenomenal experience. And so far, so good. I'm happy being here. Yeah, so I'm also an English teacher. I went to school there in Machala, in the Universidad Técnica de Machala. Then I work in different schools, including high schools and primary schools, and then I got the opportunity, like Andrés said, to go to the Go Teacher program, and that's how we met, and that changed our history, you know? All right, so okay. So the name of this presentation is How Can a Teacher Flip a Classroom, no? And the way that we are going to do it is this way, okay? We're going to focus mainly on 3 goals. The main one is to get an overview on what flipped classroom is and how it works, just a general idea of it. Then the second one is to learn how to flip a classroom in 3 steps. And at the end, we're going to focus on to identify the main benefits and challenges, no? I like to start the presentation with this quote by Einstein. I found it a few years ago, and when I read it, it made me feel uncomfortable. and it made me feel uncomfortable for one specific reason. And the reason was that I was complaining about my teaching and the results I was obtaining from my students, and I wasn't doing anything to change that. And so when I read these quotes, I discovered that I had to try something new. I had to do something different in order to obtain different results. Okay, so that's why I believe that the flip model of education can help us achieve different results, and that's why I have implemented it. No, everything has evolved in a way or in another, mostly for the positive, and everything has evolved so that the user can get a benefit out of it. No, if you see computers, if you take a look at cars, mostly technology devices, but there is something that hasn't really changed, and that is the model of teaching that we traditionally do. Okay, so the teacher in the center giving or delivering instruction to students. So in the traditional model, we have basically two, maybe three steps. The first step is the teacher teaches in the classroom, no? The teacher teaches in the classroom, and then students pay attention in the classroom, and then at home, when the students go home, they do their homework, yeah? And that's our system. That's how we have been doing it for a while, for years, and maybe even for centuries now. But the flip model, classroom model, proposes or poses a different scenario for this, in which we invert. So flip means to invert something, no? And in this case, we invert the roles of the classroom and the roles of the house, no, the home, the house of the student. So we invert the roles. So it goes like this. So first, the student at home um, receives the instruction of the teacher through a video, via a video. Obviously, the teacher will have to record or select videos from online and share that with the students so they can look at the video before class. And then when students go to class, in class they do the homework, or what is traditionally called as homework. Yeah. So they definitely invert again the role of the house and the role of the school by switching what they do in one place and what they do in the other place. And at the beginning, I was skeptical, like, how is this possible? Can this work? But then the more I read about it, the more I discovered that the research shows that it has positive benefits, mostly. And that's why I decided to implement it in one of my classes, or started implementing in one of my classes a couple of years ago. Okay, so this is the flip model, very simple, to understand how it works, why it's called flipped, no? But the experts, what do they say about it? Samson Bergman, these people are the pioneers of the flip model. It's not something I invented, but these people are the pioneers of this. These are actually teachers from a high school in the US that whose students missed a lot of classes because they had to do sports. And they decided to record themselves, make videos for the students who were absent so that they can catch up with the content. And it worked. And so they saw a lot of potential, and they decided to implement or to flip that, no? So basically their definition is that what is traditionally done in class is now done at home, and what is traditionally done at homework is now completed in class. So it's what I said before, more or less, but with the examples, no? So that is the flip model and theory. That is how it works, okay? So far, so good. So we're going to do the next step is we're going to learn how to flip the classroom in 3 steps. And this is, I mean, I say 3 steps, but there is more than that. However, I want to make it as simple as possible so that you can take away something from this presentation. Okay? So the first step is to choose or create videos. Yes, so first we need to think of how are we going to teach our students through videos, no? And basically there are 2 options when you choose or you create videos. First, select videos or choosing videos in a way is much easier. There is plenty of material online. Right now, YouTube has a ton of videos that are educational for students, and the only thing you gotta do is to find the right one and assign that to your students. No, I don't know if you've heard of the Khan Academy. It's becoming more and more popular. Khan Academy is a non-profit organization that also teaches through videos. And they originally started with science and math and calculus, but now they also have included language arts, which is what we call here English. No, English is a foreign language. Um, Even the owner of the Khan Academy, Khan, in a TED Talk, stated that when he started this idea, he started as a project with his cousins, and his cousins were in other states. And so when he recorded videos explaining calculus to his cousins, and then he discovered that his cousins liked him better in the video than in person for many different reasons. And we'll see which these reasons are later on, okay? The other thing, if you have more advanced students, if you are more in the academic setting, if you teach more English for academic purposes, TED Talks are super helpful. There's even now something called TED Ed, and TED Ed does help a lot, especially with academic vocabulary, no? So that's one thing we can do to choose the videos. The other thing we could do is to create our own videos, and that sounds more exciting to me because I feel that I can have, I can approach my students in my own way, and I like that. So I can custom the videos the way I want. How can we create our own videos? Well, the simple way would be just to record yourself with your cell phone or a camera, like this photograph here. Or you can do some kind of a screencasting, like the picture below here. Screencasting is when you record what you do in your PowerPoint or in your computer, and you make a video out of that, no? And normally some people appear in the corner with little camera there, or sometimes there is no image of the teacher. So screencasting is a good option because you don't have to create any physical material. It's all in your computer, no? There is also other kinds of materials which are apps that work like whiteboards. A couple of apps that I used once was Explain Everything and Show Me. Those 2 apps were really good. However, the problem of the apps is most of them are free, but the free version is very limited, and then you have to purchase or upgrade the version, and that costs money. And we don't want to spend a lot of money on this because we are not in the conditions to spend a lot of money in technology already, no? And so those are different ways to create videos. I mean, some people are more creative and they use alternatives, which is good. I think, if you want to use your cell phone and, record yourself in the park and then show different parts of a plant to students, well, good. You can do that. Or if you want to be in your kitchen and show how to use countable versus uncountable nouns by using real objects, or instead of that going to the market and show the groceries, which is uncountable, which is countable. I think those videos have a lot of potential. And yeah, so those are in terms of the creating and choosing videos. However, you know, both of them have advantages and disadvantages. And chooses versus creating, some people might say, look, just choose a video from YouTube. And some people might say, no, you should create your own video. I think you should do what's best for you. I want to share with you what I believe and what I've encountered to be the pros versus cons in terms of choosing versus creating. And so the first thing is when you choose, it's easy to find a lot of options, and that is entirely positive because then you can make a better decision on which one is the best video for your students. And you know, when there is a lot of options, I think students can have a lot of benefit of that because some people make better videos than other. And so yeah, the next one is that videos are already made, so technically you're not going to spend a lot of time doing that. Selecting will take you, I don't know, 10-15 minutes depending on how many videos you want to choose for your students, so you don't have to worry about making any videos that are already made. Normally, not always, the YouTube videos that I've seen by some YouTubers or teachers are in good quality, and they make, you know, good explanation of it normally, but not always. And I think the most important for now is that these things are free, so we don't really have to pay to watch a YouTube video, right? What are the drawbacks? What are the weaknesses of this, the disadvantages of choosing videos from online content? Is that the content might not meet your students' needs. Sometimes the video might be too general, or it might be too specific, and you don't want that. You want something that you are in that moment teaching, right? So that might be as a disadvantage. And in fact, I have to disregard many videos because they didn't meet the criteria that I want. Next one, you might realize also that the level is not really appropriate for students. Sometimes you feel that people either, you know, use complicated English to explain something, or they speak too fast or too slow, or they use a lot of vocabulary that is not familiar to your students. Maybe the pronunciation is even with a strange accent that they're not familiar with and stuff like that, no? And the last one is that the videos are either too short or too long, and then you find a problem because you clearly have to specify from what part to what part you want your students to watch a video, no? So those are the advantages and the disadvantages of choosing a video from, say, YouTube, no? But there are more platforms. What are the advantages of creating your own video? Well, the main one is that you can design the video according to the needs of your students. No, it can be as specific as you want in the content that you want to teach. That little thing your students want to learn, that little thing you can teach it there, and that's like really positive for your kids. No, another advantage is that you as a teacher are in control of the video, so you can decide whatever you do, whatever you put in the video. You are the director of it, no? Unless you work with another teacher and you somehow split up the job, no? What are the disadvantages of creating your own video? I have done this, and trust me, they are extremely time consuming. It's not easy to make a video. It takes time, it takes perseverance. It's almost like acting, because you're gonna make a lot of mistakes when you're shooting, when you are recording. You're gonna make mistakes in terms of, you know, your pronunciation, or maybe even the grammar, or the content you are explaining, and stuff like that. So it does take a lot of your time, and sometimes time is not what we have the most, no? Another disadvantage is you may need some special equipment. if you want to record yourself on a whiteboard, for example, you might need a camera or a good phone with a good camera. You might even need a microphone because sometimes the rooms are noisy or there is echo. With a microphone, you really kill that problem. You might need good lighting because when you do that, like right now, if you can see my face, there is a lot of light coming to my face. If I turn the light off, I have 3 lights here so that you can see me well. So that takes, you know, some extra money that you may not have, or if you want to invest, well, that's good, no? But I'm gonna say I want to take this as a disadvantage, no? The last one is that when you create a video, it's a learning curve. No, you're going to learn many things, and that learning curve is basically education. It's training that you have to get maybe through more videos or learning from other people who have already made this. You may also have to edit the video unless you want to send it raw video without editing. That not only takes time, but you also need to learn how you can edit videos, and also you might need to download a video editor software, which they are free, but they're not as good as the paid versions. So that would be also another disadvantage there, no? And basically, those are the main advantages and disadvantages of choosing versus creating videos, yeah? There might be more. You probably have more ideas than I do here, but I believe that this is probably the most common, no? All right, so let's move to the next one. And the next step on how to flip a classroom is to share with your students. How are you gonna share with your students? Now you have the video, no? You recorded yourself, you have the video in your hands or in your computer, or you downloaded the video, or you have the link of YouTube with you, and now you have to share with your students. How are you gonna do that? And that's a very important step, I think, because we as teachers might take it for granted that our students have technology or have all the access to the internet. That might be a disadvantage of it, no? So I think the best way to share with our students is to use what we already have, and what they already have is social media, no? I think almost every student has WhatsApp or Facebook. If we can use that as a tool to share the videos, then great, because they are, you know, social media are the sites that students are mostly in contact rather than educational platforms. Social media is easier just to check, no? If you create a Facebook group or a Facebook class, that's just easier to put up the links there, and they just can watch it from there. Or if you send them via WhatsApp, much easier, no? The other way to share the videos is by using more traditional educational digital platforms. Some people now are using Moodle. I use Moodle in my university, but before I used to use Google Classroom. Sometimes I also use Google Classroom. Other students are using Google Classroom. Other people are using Schoology. Right now, for me to share the videos, I'm using Google Sites, which is an application of Google to create very simple websites so that you can upload the videos there in the correct order, so my students know exactly what videos belong to what unit, to what module or unit from the textbook. Okay, so basically those are I think the two different ways to share the videos now. I was talking to a friend last night, and this person told me that some of their students, or no, all of their students, they don't have access to the internet. So what she has to do is to record the classes and then send them via WhatsApp and wait for a week until the parents buy some megas, some data on their cell phone, and then download the videos. I mean, that's what is, I think that's easier than going house by house and sharing a flash drive and sharing all the videos that your students want to watch. Although that might be another alternative, no? So that's something I wanted to mention in this presentation too, because that's the reality that the majority of teachers in public, not majority of teachers, a lot, I don't really know have a number, but I would say many teachers in public education are facing, especially in high school or elementary school, where their kids don't have, internet access. And unfortunately, there isn't much we can do in terms of resources because we teachers don't have a lot of resources, no? So I wanted to point out that point there, no? Next, the last one on how to flip a classroom is basically to redesign your teaching. So you chose a video, you created a video already. Now you share with your students via social media or uh, through educational platforms. And now, what are you going to do in class? No, say you have either online class or you have face-to-face class. You need to rethink of what you're going to do because the variables are changed now, and I'm going to explain that with more like an example. But first, let's take a look to this quote. Oh, forgot to put the author. This should be by Tucker. Sorry. Um, so the quote says, "Class becomes the place to work through problems, advance concepts, and engage in collaborative learning. Most important, all aspects of instructions can be rethought to best maximize the scarcest learning resource, which is time." Um, a lot of us, I've heard that, and I remember when I was working also in high school, the least I had was time. I always complained that I needed more time to reinforce what my students have learned in class, but the bell ran and I had to switch to another class, and 40 minutes wasn't enough. Sometimes you have 2 periods, that's good, but not all the time, okay? So if people apply the flip model, you're going to end up having more time in the classroom. Why? Because the instruction isn't there anymore. It's through a video and they were supposed to watch it at home. What happens in the traditional class is this. I asked friends to give me some feedback on whether this is accurate or not. So the time distribution in a traditional class, in average, no, this is my experience, in average, okay guys? Not everybody works like this, but in average is divided in 4 different parts, no? You have the activation section, which is the beginning of the class, normally the moment where you activate prior knowledge and see what your students know about the topic. This is the moment where you play hangman or you introduce the topic through a little game or something like that, no? The connection part, which is 40% of the time in class, is the moment where teachers deliver instruction. In this case, the moment of when teachers deliver the grammar explanation mostly, no? The grammar explanation, which is the most boring but necessary part of our teaching. And then the next 40% of the class time is the affirmation part, in which the students, practice what they have learned through exercises or through any activity you have prepared for them to show that they're practicing mastering the content or the skills that you want them to learn. I included also other here is 10% because there is other things that are not necessarily part of the teaching, explaining something like, attendance or classroom management or interruptions or anything that goes there, no? So this is more or less how a class looks traditionally, no? It's not perfect. You might disagree with me. You're gonna tell me, Hamilton, I spend more time doing the connection or I spend more time doing the affirmation. Good. I just believe that this is an average and of my classes. If you can relate to this, great. And if you don't, well, everybody teaches in a different way, I guess, no? But what happens in the flip model, this changes a little because now the activation keeps the same, remains the same. The connection is reduced. Why? because you're not explaining, or you don't have to explain everything from scratch. That explanation is on the video or on the videos, no? So when you go to class, your students already have an idea of the topic. So it's not like going to the classroom and talking about the present perfect or prepositions of time or past ed rules, regular verbs and stuff like that. No, that you gotta explain, not from zero now, but from already knowledge that students have gained through the video. And so the connection time gets reduced now to a 15%. And look what happened here. Now all the affirmation section, which is language production through writing exercises or through oral production, is bigger, much more extensive than the other one, than the traditional one, right? Other hasn't changed that much. So if we put this in perspective, and if you compare the two of them, you realize that the big difference is not only that you have more time here, but it's also how many things or how many new things can I do during that time, no? This is why I call this part redesign your teaching, because basically you have to adapt the lessons to a new environment. Or maybe you don't really have to adapt much because you were already using somehow this, and then the videos came just to help you reinforce that knowledge, but just before class, okay? And I really like this pie charts, couple of pie charts, because it's very, this graphic organizer is very visual and just reminds you of how they differ one and another, no? So, all right. The last step or the last goal of this presentation is to identify the main benefits and challenges that that the flip model offers for teachers and obviously for students. Now, these benefits and challenges is not, they're research based, but also they are experiences that I have found, outcomes that I have found in my own class. So I can tell you by experience that there is positivity and there is also the negative side of it, no? The benefits, we have a lot. First one, definitely you end up having more time for language production. More time for language production means more speaking, more activities for students, for them to actually produce language and not just receive language. And that's entirely positive, especially if we want to achieve this communicative goal of the students, to help them actually use the language, no? That's very positive for me. Another positive or another benefit of the flip model, this is research based, is that Einfeld discovered through his studies that there is more student engagement, and it makes sense. I realized that when I implemented this, my students, because they understood more the topic, they felt that they were more successful, and therefore that kept them more engaged. So that's really real, no? The next one is that you can also provide some kind of differentiating instruction. Differentiating instruction, why? Because when you go to class to explain something you can do in that extra time you have is to approach or target those students, those ones who are low learners, who need extra help, who always are left behind and stuff like that. I think you can definitely provide a lot of help to those kids, no? And finally, the last one is that you can take this to the next level. One thing that I did in one of my classes was that I asked my students to watch the videos and then prepare a presentation out of that, and they realized that's the best way of learning, because they say that the best way to learn is through teaching, no? And therefore they did that, and they became little experts on little grammar topics that I assigned them to do. That was super beneficial for them. All right, So basically, those are the benefits. To end my presentation, the challenges, super fast. This is hard, especially for people who don't have access to the internet. If they don't have access to the internet, it's going to be extremely difficult for them to actually do this. No, students especially. It takes a lot of time, as I said before, to make videos. It's difficult to make entertaining videos. It's easier to make boring videos, but making interactive videos takes more of dynamics and software addition. Also, in class, you may find that you may need to find appropriate activities that you don't normally know, or you don't normally know how to do because you're not used to this new model. Breaking the paradigm of the teacher, that the teacher must explain always everything, is something that the students, that with a few of my students, I realized that they missed. They wanted me to explain in class everything, and that's not the case of the flip model. No, so those are the challenges. My recommendations for you, if you ever want to try this, is to start slow, little by little. Just flip a few videos on a topic, certain topic, grammar topic of your class. Pilot the project, pilot the idea before you go full time, because first you need to see the reaction and if it works. And if it doesn't work, try to find out why. There's gotta be a reason why things are not working. Last but not least, you gotta go with the flow. Don't stress about this, because I think you don't need that in your life right now. None of us need it, so don't get stressed about it. These are my references and research articles, academic publications that I found about the topic that support my ideas. And this is me. Thank you very much for your for paying attention. That's my contact information, and if you ever need some help in this topic, I'm happy to help. And yeah, that's all. Thank you. Andrés? Your microphone, Andrés. Your microphone.
Thank you so much, Hamilton, for this part of your presentation. I think that many teachers were going to ask you questions for this part, no? So how to flip a classroom is a very interesting topic that everybody were making me some comments from here. So, so teachers, you can write questions in the chat, or maybe you can activate your microphone. Okay? So it's time for asking. You can do it. I have a question, Hamilton. I'm gonna read it from the chat.
Yes.
For example, one teacher asks you how to avoid the hesitation in the classroom.
Hesitation? What do you mean?
I'm not sure about it. I think that it refers about some kind of interruptions or something like that. I think that it could happen in the classroom environment. So
I don't know. I don't know how it's related to the topic. That's why I can't answer the question, because I don't see the connection. Or maybe it should be a longer question with more specific details.
yes. Okay, so I would like you to be more specific with the question, because it's related to how to flip the classroom, no? So, well, okay. Well, now they are clarifying the question. They said about an interruption. I assume Hamilton, that they're referring to an interruption of I'm not sure, in the environment, a voice or extra environment things, no? So I mean, the question is related to when you are working on the part, and there are something like that. So do you understand what I mean with the
No. I'm sorry. If somebody
Okay.
understands it, please help me. I try to see the connection, but like interruption, like what? No.
Well, we have another question, Hamilton.
Okay,
here.
good.
Does a teacher need a special training to start making videos?
Mm, yes, you need training. You can do it by instant, but you're going to make a lot of mistakes, and that's going to take you longer than receiving a little bit of training before you start. Um, so I wish somebody had trained me before. I am happy to train people. I think I will offer a course in the future. So if you're interested in doing that, send me a WhatsApp message. You have my WhatsApp there on the screen, no? My cell phone
Yes.
number, no? Yes. And let me tell me your name. And if you want, I can even make videos so that you can share with your students specific videos about specific topics. I'm happy to help.
Okay, so teachers, now you hear Master Hamilton that he is offering the support. No, so you have all the information and details. He can recommend you when you have a question about an inquiry you have. No. Well, Adri is asking you, Hamilton, is there any specific course? So, I mean, she's asking for professional development to use these courses.
Mm, I don't know if there is courses online already made about that. What I can tell you based on me is that I am going to open a course on how to flip a classroom, obviously more specific, and that will include training in the video making thing, no, which is what we need. Is that's what she's asking, no, the training part or the general thing of flipping?
Mr. Hamilton, a él tiene una consulta. Ahí me está levantando la mano. A.R dice. Para que.
No, I can no le veo.
Okay, gracias. Yes, I think the question is related to the specific course. I mean, she's talking about the topic that you were mentioning, which is flipping classroom.
Yeah.
I think that.
Yeah, so the easiest way is send me a WhatsApp message and then I'll explain to you that via WhatsApp more in detail, no?
Okay.
So, good evening. May I ask a question?
Welcome, Mister.
Who is
Of
this?
course. So, just I want to say thank you because it is an interesting topic and thank you for sharing it. And also, I want to talk about the part in which you say that it is really time consuming. And I absolutely agree with that idea because, just imagine if we, as teachers, have about 3 or 4 different levels in our schools. So it is going to be crazy. It is going to drive us crazy, actually. Well, and I want to give a piece of advice as well. So, as you know, we are a lot of teachers in Ecuador, and most of us are working with the same books. I mean, the books for schools. What we can do as teachers, we can all work together and mainly to classify the levels or the books and start working by doing videos for each level. I mean, we can distribute the English books for some English teachers and we can flip or we can make videos which are related to those books. And in that way, we are going to be working together and we're going to get a better result than working alone. That's a piece of advice. Maybe you can have in mind it.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Whatever your name is, AR. Yes, I agree with you. Time consuming, yes. And the other thing is the phenomenal idea. I like it a lot. Let me share my experience in this. In Yachay, we developed an entire online course for students for level 1 and level 2. And we created videos. We took the 2 textbooks, saw the units, the grammar content, and then we made a ton of videos using all the teachers, or the majority of the teachers we had, no? It was a challenge, yes, because the teachers had to receive training, and the training was, at that time it was at least face-to-face, because this happened last year. But now with the COVID-19 situation, we cannot see each other face-to-face in person. So I mean, it was a very enriching experience for everyone. But it does take time also to create the whole thing. I think it's a great idea, but you need a lot of organizations, because how many teachers are there in Ecuador? Doesn't Andres or AR person, do you know how many English teachers there are in Ecuador?
No, approximately. I'm not sure about the real quantity, how many teachers there are in Ecuador.
Okay, but in high school level, everybody's using the same textbook in public schools, right?
What I know is that they're using models, okay, from Minister of Education that Janine Matz, I think she's the coordinator, and she's working directly with the student with audios models.
Okay.
So they're working with the curriculum, I think. Yeah.
But it is happening just for the emergency we have right now. But in years ago, we were working with the same books at schools. I mean, we were working with the same text. Obviously, this time we are working with modules because of the emergency. But my idea is to work with the books that we normally use in our classrooms. I mean, the textbooks which are given by the government. And I think they are the same in all Ecuador. So my idea is to work on those topics and create some videos,
Yeah.
obviously related to those topics.
I would say that if we ever make videos for that, I wouldn't rely on the book only, because the textbook might change in the future, and then we might want to make more videos, no? So I would say just relate to the general topics, and then based on that make other general videos. But I think it's a good idea. Again, your name, AR person.
Yes, Hamilton. Let me read another question.
Okay, good.
Do you think that the online classes today in Ecuador is being applied in a proper way, in an appropriate way? Well, it's
Okay, the online classes are being applied in a proper way. I cannot speak for everyone. I can speak for my classes. It was a challenge at the beginning, because when the COVID-19 happened, they canceled the classes on a Thursday, and then on Monday we moved to emergency remote learning, and that wasn't real online learning. That was emergency remote learning.
Exactly.
Which is not the same. For online learning, you need months of preparation for the curriculum, and also for your own teaching, your own training to use all these platforms that now we are all using. No. Luckily, I already had some experience on online education. So for me, it wasn't, it was a challenge in the sense that we had to make everything digital, but it wasn't a challenge. It wasn't hard in the sense that I already knew how to use Zoom and how to, pull up more materials in PowerPoint and all that stuff. I already knew how to do that. However, as I said before, making everything digital takes a lot of time. So my quizzes were already made in Word, for example, and then I have to convert that or turn that into Google Forms or another assessment platform or something. So that's my experience. I realize that teachers are going through a lot of problems because different reasons, maybe lack of training. They did not receive enough training before this happened, or the other social factor that a lot of students do not have access to the internet, and then you end up calling parents or students and getting WhatsApp numbers, and you get WhatsApps from parents all day 24/7, and that's a disaster. And unfortunately that's a reality. It would have been different if there had been more preparation, but I am not that familiar with that because I'm not working in a public high school now. I'm working in a public university, and universities have more autonomy, so they manage each thing differently, So again, going back to the question, I think things are not being managed properly. Some teachers are doing better than others, but I think what teachers need the most right now is support. A lot of support, and for example, what you're doing, Andres, here, giving opening these spaces so that people can get, free training. That's a phenomenal idea, Andres. Congratulations, because our teachers need that. We were used to going to seminars before, no, face to face. We had to pay.
Yes, exactly.
And now we have these little, little webinars where, a teacher can share what he or she has learned recently. Okay, so I think this is good, and they are doing this. Like last week, I heard some friends did the same thing in Machala. Ruben is here. He also presented there, and they are learning from each other, basically. No, so that's what we need. A lot of that support. Yeah. Is there another question, Andres?
Sure. Here we have another question. Okay, let me scroll up this. Okay. The question is, do you usually teach grammar with the videos that you created at Yachay? Do you think is it okay to teach grammar in online classes? This is a question from one teacher.
Okay, so in my normal regular Yachay classes, not the online class that we created before, I only flip videos or flip my classroom only through grammar only.
Mhm.
Because I feel that my students can, have a lot of advantages by doing that grammar, getting that grammar explanation home. And what was the last part of the question, Andres, that I can remember?
Do you think it is okay to teach grammar in classes? I mean, in classes, she's talking about online classes. I mean,
I mean, there's always the question of whether how we should incorporate grammar in the classroom, no? If it's more inductive or deductive, is it more explicit teaching about the grammar, more implicit so that the students figure out what the rules are and stuff. That's a polemic, no? Teachers might say, yes, we should teach grammar explicitly, and others might say no, especially in the younger they are, the less analytical they are, so you don't really have to teach the grammar explicitly. Um, I want to say that if the video can teach it for you, why don't you just let the video teach it? But if you want to reinforce in the class, then do it, because some students still prefer or like you better than another teacher in another video. So why? Because you can answer those questions in the moment. So that's another advantage I didn't mention of face to face. Yeah, is that that interaction you have happens in live. Whereas in the video, if they have a question they're not gonna get an answer, they can watch it again. They can pause the video. They can watch it many times. They can lower down the speed, the pace of the speaker. That's helpful, but there isn't anything like explaining a grammar, giving a grammar explanation. What I like about the videos is that they give a grammar explanation, and so students already know, get an idea of the topic, so they don't go to zero or from zero to the class, and that's a huge step, especially for low learners. Okay, Andres?
yes. Well, Hamilton, here in the chat we don't have any questions, but more questions. But if a teacher would like to ask a question, activate your microphone because this is the time. You can ask any question. Okay.
So
Welcome.
you and
Welcome.
with my questions. So,
Okay.
well,
You can ask.
I think a flipped classroom, it is not only about videos, but also about other resources, right? So my point is that maybe we can use resources like PDF presentations, PowerPoint presentation, etc. Even you can use some drawings made by you. So my point is that we can focus our flipped classrooms in another resources as well, like the ones I mentioned before, not only in videos, because most of all are maybe thinking of videos only, but there are other resources that you can use for this. Thank you.
Yes, I agree with that. The videos are top one because they are more interactive than just reading a textbook. But reading is reading, and so reading does its job too. So if they can read, a short story before class, and in that story you can incorporate new vocabulary that you want to teach in class, then that's a good idea too. I have not done that, but when I had the highest level of English, I flipped TED Talk videos which were much more advanced and were not focused on grammar but on speech pronunciation and also academic content that they were supposed to learn. So yes, that's a good one.
Yes, actually, as videos, you can use Spanish. You can use Spanish also for your drawings, maybe, or for your PDF presentations. I don't know, any resource you can use as well. I mean, if you are working with low levels, you can use it as well as a resource.
Yes, I made a video last week, no, this week, and I explained how to use do and das, uploaded in YouTube. And I explain in English and I also explain in Spanish because I know a lot of people, especially when you're a beginner, you don't really have those listening skills to actually understand a grammar explanation. So I wanted to make sure that everybody understood, even if you were a true beginner or maybe an intermediate or low intermediate level. So yeah, that's what I did, and it works.
So you mean
Is there
that,
any question?
yes, you mean
Okay.
that we can use also Spanish in our videos, right? Because I have heard many teachers that say, no, don't use Spanish because they are supposed to be learning English. But I think you can't omit the native language of some students. I mean, they can use it as an advantage instead of maybe a disadvantage to learn a language. What I think is that it doesn't matter how you get the knowledge. The most important thing is to use it. It doesn't matter if you get maybe English by using Spanish, but the most important thing is that you can apply it in English then.
Yeah,
Do you agree with?
that's another you're touching another polemic, or whether we should use L1 to teach L2 or not. I mean, in the past it was entirely like that, using L1 to teach an L2, but there was no communicative results. Students were not fluent, so they try to incorporate the communicative part now, so that there is more of language production and communication on actual language use, and that means that we have reduced the L1. I think it really depends on the level and also the program you have. I remember when I was working in a private school in Machala, they have a phenomenal bilingual program, and it was completely immersion. But that only worked because the students were immersed since they were in pre-K. So 4 years old, 5 years old, something like that, all the way up to high school. So in this Unidad Educativa, they have all these years of immersion of English. And in that scenario, we rarely use Spanish, because in the English class or in the bilingual section of the English class, English or Spanish was forbidden. No, like we were not allowed to use Spanish. But in your EFL setting, if your students, the majority are still struggling with even understanding what or most of what you say, or trying to at least get the gist of what you say, then you should tackle the Spanish. Use that as an advantage. It doesn't hurt. I think that's my opinion. Many people may not agree with me, but that's what I've done also with videos. Andrés?
Okay. Okay, mister, you have any other, you want to make a comment?
Me?
No, actually, no. Thank you very much. It was very clear. Thanks again for sharing your experience, Hamilton. And thank you, Andres, for inviting us to these kinds of presentations. They are
You're
very
welcome.
good.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions, teachers? Somebody else? Well, teachers, so I think it has been very important, the Mr. Hamilton Quezada support, and he has done a good job in contributing with his experience, and also he was presenting his research and the idea that he has been working during this time. So I think we can also learn from people, for good examples that contribute us in order to make it better teachers and make our English practice teaching be more effective. So this is the objective of these online spaces, no? And I'm really so happy that you come and join us every Saturday. So, Hamilton, these are the last part of the program. I say thank you, and the teachers also say thanks, no, for everything that you have shared with us.
Yes, I'm reading here all the messages. I didn't read them before because I didn't want to lose some concentration. And that's a lot of thank yous. You're welcome. I have to say you're welcome. I am just like you, another Ecuadorian non-native English teacher who has faced many problems and also has found opportunities where the problems appear, no? And I discovered this. I have other ideas that I like to share with you in the future. Hopefully, Andres give us another opportunity in the future.
Of
And
course, of course.
yeah, but there is still a lot more teachers in Ecuador that can help you in many different ways. I think right now with technology, we especially teachers that are not very familiar with that, they need a lot of support because students can fool the teachers easily now because they easily know more about the teachers in terms of technology. So thank you very much for all your nice comments. It's been a pleasure to be here with you tonight. I had a great time, and thanks for the questions and the thank you messages.
Okay, teachers. So, well, this is the last part of the program. So, I say thanks everybody for coming. Today we had a very nice and huge audience. So, welcome because today we had newcomers. So, I think Hamilton Quezada attract many people, especially from Machala. I saw some comments, no? So,
There is a friend from the US also connected.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, there are so many people. We know it. Well, thanks everybody for this for participating tonight. And remember, we are going to have another transmission next Saturday, okay? And during this week, I will be announcing what is the topic. So, thanks, Hamilton. Have a good night, everybody, and we'll still keep in touch, okay? Bye bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you, Hamilton.
No problem. You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Bye bye.
No
Bye
problem.
bye. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Bye.
much. Bye bye, my friend.
Bye
Be
bye.
careful. Be careful, everyone, teachers.
Thank you.